Tina Cook.
So not your husband.
You've obviously met. Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
So not your husband, William.
Yeah.
You know, whatever jobs I could get through polo, like training the young horses, grooming, whatever I could do to get in the sport, I was there. I feel like the geldings in general sometimes have a bit of they can be a little bit lazy, the mares are a little bit more consistent.
We're talking about horses still?
Welcome to Talk Horse.
Our gallop through the highs and lows of the equestrian world.
I'm Pippa Funnell. I've been eventing for most of my life, and I'm also an author of a series of children's books, and I love everything to do with horses.
And I'm Tristan Phipps. You may recognise me from Made in Chelsea. However, there's a very different side to me. I am a qualified trained safari guide. I love all things nature. I'm an ambassador for many wildlife conservation charities, and I love all things horses now as well. And I'm learning from the best every single week.
Today's guest is from an area of the equine world that we actually haven't spoken about at all, apart from one of the earlier series when Tristan had rather a nasty experience with it. So I'll be fascinated to find out more about this world.
Absolutely. I will say that, you know, the dalliance into polo was how I probably ended up here. So as much as it was maybe a low, it was also a high. So whether you're a seasoned rider, a horse lover, or like me, wanting to know more, this is the podcast for you. Please also do like and subscribe our pod, as we want loads more people to hear about us, and we've got so much more Talk Horse to share with you.
So saddle up, join our equestrian community, and let's talk horse. Hello, Tristan.
Hello, Pippa. We've got a very exciting podcast ahead of us today, but before we dive into that, a big thank you to Harry Hall One Club for being our sponsors today, and do check out the discount code in the pod description.
Thank you, Harry Hall.
And we also have a very exciting competition from Harry Hall today, and I need a bit of participation from you, Pippa. So my question to you is, who is your favourite riding companion?
Oh,
Human companion.
Human. Well, probably throughout my eventing career, it would have to be Tina Cook.
So not your husband.
You've obviously met. Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
So not your husband, William.
Yeah.
Tina and William. I tell you what, it's nice to ride with your husband.
Yeah, but I don't really ride with my husband that often. Whereas actually Tina and I have ridden alongside each other at events, and we're like,
you like an episode of Made in Chelsea?
Yeah, exactly. When Tina and I get together, we put the worlds to rights. We invent another word. We full of chat.
I think it's important to have that riding companion. I like that's a good answer. Well, Harry Hall have a special £50 voucher for you and your riding companion at home. So keep an eye out for our socials and also the Harry Hall socials on how you can win that £50 voucher for you and your companion. In Pippa's case, Tina, not William.
Do you think I should change it?
I think any answer is a perfect answer.
Okay.
Now this week is
William is my favourite husband.
Yes, he's my favourite of your husbands. Now this is a very exciting one because this week is badminton.
It will be very, very strange for me. And having just spoken about Tina, William and myself, William Foxpitt, not my husband, but the three of us obviously have gone through the sport together for many years. And I think between the three of us, we've done 99 badminton.
99?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it will be the first badminton, I guess probably since 1988 when I first went to badminton, that the three of us aren't riding. So we're going to have, I think, a lot of fun. Got all sorts of things going on there. And I know you're going to be coming up.
Absolutely. I'm coming up on Thursday to walk the course with you, which I'm very excited about.
We would always walk the course probably 4 times, I would say. So you really know exactly where you're going.
And at that point, are you assessing the best route that you want to take on this course? And how
Well, you're looking at the course.
Yeah.
The first walk we normally walk, I always like to walk the course on my own the first time, because to me, the first walk is very important because you're seeing the course for the first time. And even though we walk the course over and over again 4 times, we have to remember that when the horse comes out on Saturday and you're riding the horse, he's seeing the course. He only gets one chance. He sees it for the first time. So that first walk that we do as competitors, you're looking at it from a point of view, this is what the horse is going to see. It's only going to see it once. So we can walk to see what's the other side of each fence or what tricks around the corner sort of thing, but the horse doesn't know that. So we need to know that we know those lines inside out, so that when we turn onto a fence with a difficult angle over a big ditch, you know you need to be on the correct line or to a narrow.
So you have your visual points.
And on top of that, you have a lot of options at the more technical fences, there's normally options. And so you need to know all the options, because even though you can walk it with a brave head on thinking this is where I'm going to go, this is the direct route, which most of us want to walk that sort of way, but you also have to walk the options, because sometimes a horse might stumble in the middle of a combination and you can't jump the next element, so suddenly you have to swing out, pull out and jump an alternative. So you have to know all the options.
Backup plan for a backup plan.
Yeah, so you need an A, B and a C plan, so that when you're riding round, if your horse is maybe struggling or it's lost a bit of confidence or it's not going as well as you think, you might want to think, actually, I'm going to play safe. Or a particular fence might be causing more problems than you thought. So you need to have
all those options.
Have the options.
It's fascinating.
But I think you should bring Jules, because I think the trade stands are brilliant. If you want to treat her, there's some very good trade stands there. And so you can do shopping. Hopefully you'll meet some of my mates.
Yeah, please.
And as I said, whether
Don't hide
we
me away.
get time to walk, I miss that.
Hide me away in the corner. This is my co-host, Tristan. We don't
Oh, I don't know whether I'll be hiding away. I might be flaunting you.
Please. So I think it's time to bring on today's guest.
Our guest today is Hazel Jackson, the world's #1 women polo player. So to learn about polo, we've gone straight to the very, very top.
As we have a tendency to do on this podcast, which is amazing. And possibly she can teach me how to not fall off a horse whilst playing polo, because that is the only experience I have at the moment.
I possibly don't think she will be able to do that. But
Possibly not in the studio, but...
Possibly not. But I am really, really fascinated, because it's a world I know nothing about. And I'm really, really interested to hear more about it.
Absolutely.
So let's talk horse with Hazel. Hazel, thank you so much for taking time to come and join us on Talk Horse. I think what's fascinating about this podcast, we have people from all areas of the equestrian world, and it's one area that we haven't touched on. I know, I have to say, Tristan, you probably know more than I do.
And that is a bizarre thing. Yeah.
So I am dying to know more about the polo world. So
let's start from the very beginning.
Exactly.
As we always like to on Talk Horse. Obviously, successful career as a polo player. Where did that love and passion for horses start?
So originally, my parents always had horses at home. We lived down in the New Forest, so
Lovely part of the
literally home sort of backs out onto the New Forest. So we always went hacking, and Mum did point-to-point racing and hunting and stuff. But we had a few horses at home. I've got a brother and sister, hand-me-down horses. Anyway, so I got to 9, 10 years old, and we were doing all the pony club, which I'm sure you guys know about.
I have an honorary pony club badge now.
Literally. No, so it was brilliant. We tried every single discipline and it was awesome. But as soon as I tried polo, like my whole family were absolutely addicted. I didn't go with jobbers.
And were you very good at ball games
at school? I was quite sporty, always as such. So yeah, we played a lot of netball and stuff. But when I started polo, it was just, there was no looking back. And most people who come to the sport and try it, they say it's really addictive. So
And exhilarating.
Yeah, literally.
It's a serious sport, I have to say. I mean, it's amazing to watch, but...
Yeah, and there's a lot to it. There's a lot of factors which not many people would understand as such, but there's so much which goes on behind the scenes. And
so how does a career as a polo player work? So you've got this passion for horses. You say 9 or 10 you started playing polo?
Literally.
And that was in the pony club?
That was in the pony club, yeah. So finished school, finished college. I stayed at college for an extra 2 years just to do sports massage and personal training, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. However, I'd always...
Sports massage?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever given one in my entire life.
I was going to say, can you do something after
I know what is a good one, though. a bit specific. But no, so I had like 2 or 3 horses at home, which with polo, the more horses you have, the better, ideally. So we always had a few, which means I could sort of start playing locally amateur, super relaxed. There's a little club in the New Forest where I live and very low key. So as soon as I finished that, I got on a plane when I was 19 years old to New Zealand, and I was there for 6 months. And they said to me, well, okay, here's your 7 or 8 horses. They're like 6 years old, which is quite young. They needed finishing, they needed training. They're like, right, take them, train them, play them, and that's it. That's for you for 6 months. So straight from there, like I was always, whatever jobs I could get through polo, like training the young horses, grooming. Shortly after that, when I came back to England, I got my HGV driving license.
For the trucks.
Exactly that. Yeah. So I could drive like a 12-horse lorry. Whatever I could do to get in the sport, I was there, trying to learn, trying to get better. And then slowly it started taking off. After I went to New Zealand, I came back to England, got a job for the summer up in Cheshire.
And that was grooming and trucking?
Grooming, exactly that. Playing whenever I could.
Oh, so they gave me
a few horses I needed to finish, so I had like my 3 and then they'd top me up. So doing everything I could. And then I went out to Argentina that winter. And so I'm 34 now and I've been to Argentina ever since. So
Argentina is the holy grail of polo, right? It's like the Mecca.
Literally, yeah. They're ahead of the game.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're very, very good. So yeah, now I'm finally...
There are quite a lot of dashing, good-looking men, aren't there, in Argentina? Is that an attraction?
I can't imagine it's going to be a barrier to entry.
Yes.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Argentinian polo players as well. I've had a few beers with some.
Oh, really?
You're being very modest. You're a 10-goal handicap player, which is the highest possible you can be.
Now, that's something talking about, I mean, that is, and you are... am I correct in saying you're the leading lady in the world? Or
yeah, there's
one or two
there's
of you?
3 of us who are all
you.
sort of up there. I mean, we've all, there's only a handful of us who've got that 10-goal ladies handicap, and obviously there's 2 different handicaps. You've got the men's mixed handicaps, and you've got the ladies handicaps apart. So at the moment, I think there's only about literally 3 of us who've got the 10-goal handicap.
So I'm now going to be really naive, and I'm sure there are a few listeners out there that, like me, might not know too much about the polo world. So just explain the handicapping system.
So over here it starts -2 up to 10 goals.
So -2 is the worst, clearly.
Minus is worse, exactly that.
So I would
Tristan,
come
you're
in
proud -2.
Are you?
And I'm proud of it.
I
loved it. It was the beginning.
I think I'd come in. Maybe I might change to.
I think
more
your
than
horsemanship
minus.
might just carry you
Yeah,
through.
but my ball hitting isn't.
It would be great.
Together we would be
combination.
great because I'm great at hitting
Yeah,
balls.
I've seen
We
them
all have to.
paddle.
If they can get a big polo pony, I can be on the front, you can be on the back. I'll steer it, and you whack the ball.
I reckon we make a dream
It'd be
team.
a banging combination.
There you go. I'm
Yeah.
not sure that's allowed, but we'll give it.
So anyway, -2 to 10. So 10 being the
exactly
highest.
that. So let's go. So basically, the highest male English player right now, Tommy Beresford, he is 7 goals, and the highest lady in a men's handicap. So I'm 2 goals. There's one more girl called Nina Clarkin who's 3 goals in men's handicap. She's a little bit older now. She still plays like an absolute machine. She's got 3 children. She's unreal. Anyway, so you've got the men's handicap. So every tournament, you take your 4 players on a team. You can only play right-handed. You add up those 4 handicaps, and that decides what level of tournament you're playing. So the low goal levels, say you'll be playing like a 6-goal tournament, so you have maybe 3 2-goalers and a 0-goaler. Anyway, so the highest level polo we play in England, in the mixed and the men's in polo, is 22-goal polo. So
you're allowed.
Do the maths now.
Yeah, any combination.
Any combination up to 22.
But you
Exactly that.
and ideally you want to make it up to 22.
Exactly that.
So what's a good base then in terms of choosing a team? So do you want like an average kind of level of
One
sixes?
good. I would say probably one good.
What would you do?
And
the highest
3
men's, the
average.
highest.
I definitely wouldn't have you on a team at -2.
But you might have Hazel on the team, in which case she can play, because if I was higher, she maybe wouldn't be able to. But I think you probably get preferential treatment on that one.
Yes.
But it's quite an interesting kind of way of structuring a team.
Well, exactly that. And the next thing is the majority of the polo is run by sort of patron. You have a patron or a sponsor on your team. So they're the guys who are paying the bills. They are the sponsor of the team. So they'll employ their 3 pros.
Got you.
Of course, on a lower level, you can go like amateurs and make up a team yourself. And that's great. You play 2-goal, 4-goal, 6-goal. The medium goal goes to like 12 goal and 15 goal tournaments and 18 goal. And then there's just the high goal, which is 22 goal tournaments. And so there's a few, well, it's few.
So does that mean they're going to score that sort of many goals?
Nothing
No,
to
it's
do.
purely on the... But do you get...
yeah.
So the handicap system, is that done because you've scored X amount of goals?
Again, nothing to do with that. It's
Okay.
actually just a committee who rate you on how your season's been, how,
Right.
if you won how many tournaments. If they see that you're playing really well off of your handicap, then they'll put you up at the end of the season. We have mid-season handicap changes and end-of-season handicap changes. So the ideal thing is to grab a ringer. Like, you want to get the best 2-goaler who's playing more like a 3-goaler but has still got their handicap down.
Right.
So teams are
And then
made
sack them off at the end of the year.
So there's...
literally or before. Some are
So it's quite like,
some teams are
it's reactive.
cutthroat.
And how does it work being part of the team then? So you can play for different teams?
Depends
in
on
a
your
season?
contract. So this year, for example, I'm based with a team. They're called Dubai Polo Team. There's some sponsors who've come from Dubai. They're here for the whole season, and I haven't got a written contract, but I'll be based with them for the whole summer. But I'm allowed to play maybe 3 extra tournaments with other people.
Okay.
But in general, you seem to, like, if in the big organizations, you stay with your
team.
You're the team for the whole summer as such.
Amazing. So let's rewind it back a little bit. It's kind of, how do you become a professional polo player from that? So you decided at 9 and 10 years old, this is something you're really good at, you love, it's a
And
passion.
she was a groom.
Yeah.
Drove
Yes.
the truck.
But you tried the sport once and you went, wow, this is amazing. This is a serious sport. How do you then become a 10-goal handicapper?
God, it's taken a wee while.
Not that long.
Well, no, I think, I've been very lucky with the opportunities which I've had over the years. Like I said, I went out to Argentina. I was grooming my first year there. Now in Argentina, I've got a string of my own. I've got 8 horses of my own over there. And the seasons in general go from, you have England from May to September. You've got Argentina, which is sort of September to December, and then Florida in America from January to March.
Wow, so you don't
So you don't have much of a break. Yeah.
No,
Winters.
there's no breaks whatsoever. But so basically, I was grooming in places, literally doing all my work, driving trucks, and then every so often, whenever there was an opportunity, boom, I'd play it. I'd take the opportunity.
And when you say the opportunity, was that because suddenly a player, they were short of a player? Or...
Exactly that. And I started, once I had my handicap and I started, practicing and playing as much as I could, then I was getting asked to play a few games, which is brilliant. But when you're lower handicap, you can't really charge anything. And of course, polo is 70% the horses. So the better mounted you are, the better player you're going to be. So that's a tough one. So, yeah.
And going back to the riding ability, I mean, surely if you come through the pony club, because I'm not saying my understanding because I don't know enough about the polo world, but I would imagine there are quite a few people that do play polo that have just played polo and maybe haven't been taught the basic riding skills.
Yes.
But surely you must have quite an edge if you have that education about knowing how to handle a
I guess,
horse.
Tristan, you've tried it, but yeah, I guess.
And that's maybe where you went
So
wrong.
I can only ride with
Tristan.
one hand. I wouldn't put 2 hands on the reins. It's bizarre.
Oh gosh, no, yeah. For me, it's fundamental to be a good rider. All the horses are trained the same. They're literally like a joystick, and the better the horse they are, the more agile they are, the easier they are to stop and turn. It all comes. You ideally want to be riding the horse just with your legs as such, but there's so much to focus on when you're when you're on the horse. But yeah, it's, for me, that's what it is, the most important thing. You've got to be at one with the horse.
Partnership.
Yeah, literally. And, when we travel the world, we get given so many different horses. You get to try them. Some take longer to stop. Some really struggle to the right. They're better to the left. So you go into the checker thinking, okay, right, I'm on this one. Okay, my strong points, it's got a really good ride off. We say that's when you're in defence. Or this one's really quick off the mark. So if I get the ball, I can head off to goal nice and quickly.
Some of the really good players or great people have had favourite ponies that they've sort of cloned, or they really do.
The future's looking wild in this sport. Honestly. There's some in Argentina. The amount of the breeding programs which are going on. There's people who are breeding hundreds and hundreds of horses per year, and not only that, they are cloning horses now. So you can imagine it's like a Formula One race. The better car you've got, the better the better chance you've got. these guys are getting their best horse and, yes, cloning them so they can make Adolfo Cambiaso, who's the best player in the world right now. He's a 10-goaler player from Argentina. He's got about 7 or 8 of his own, he's called Cuartetera, which is one of his best horses, all clones. So he can literally rock up to the field with 8 of technically the same horses.
And how would they perform on the field?
That's a bit odd, isn't it? Are they very similar? I mean,
to look at, yes. And apparently to make as well, like when you're training them, they're quite similar. But not all of them are getting the same results as the original.
It's a fascinating question mark.
Because most of them are thoroughbred, aren't they? I mean, they are breeding ponies, especially for polo. But a lot have come from the racing industry, haven't they? Or
there has, yeah, exactly. There's the retraining of racehorse, which actually I used to have one, and she won many prizes, and they're incredible. Obviously, they've got the speed and the agility, so as long as they've got a good mind, a strong head on them, that they're nice and calm, then they do adapt to the sport really well, to be honest, which is nice. And so much.
And I must admit, because I did do a charity polo match once, and AP McCoy was on the other team, and I was told to mark him or ride him off. Ride him off.
It's all the lingo.
Well, anyway, no chance. But it was. I just remember even those polo ponies. I mean, obviously we weren't given top polo ponies. They're probably, but they watch the ball. I mean,
amazing animals.
They watch the ball, don't they?
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
I mean, incredible.
Literally, they are like true athletes, honestly.
So why is there a cap on size for polo ponies? What's the reason?
I think more so due to agility and
above a certain hands, it's harder to.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like to reach the ball, isn't it?
Yeah, that as well. That's a very good. That's a very good comment. But you're looking at ideally like a 15-2, 15-3 tops.
Okay.
But so with them, I mean, obviously the top guys, did they produce their own ponies, or I mean, so here you have your young horse. On the whole, do you like to produce them from the beginning, or do you get, as you say, horses that come out of racing or
I would love to. If I had all the money in the world, I would have the most amazing breeding program. However, unfortunately, don't come from a massive polo background. So this is why the Argentines are producing so many good players and so many good horses, because obviously Argentina's huge. You've got old school families who have got massive estancias, big farms. They've got the breeding down to a T, and they can breed in such quantities that they're always producing some seriously good horses. Of course, I would love it, because then you can choose the person who's going to break in your horse. You can choose the person who's then, we call them pilots, the guys who will finish making the horses as such. And then usually the horse is in its prime when they're about 8 or 9 years old. That's when they're going to be performing their best.
And so do you break them as 3-4-year-olds or 4-year-olds?
Yeah, 3. I'd say 4, more 3. At 4 you might even be playing some slow chuckers at 4. They do a lot of, they'll bring them in to work for like 2 months, work them very relaxed with the, really important about the head, because we ask so much from them. It's a lot for them. So the horse has really got to have a really strong, calm head on it and take it. Some of them even get a little bit, they struggle with their breathing because,
high blowers.
Literally. It's like
yes! This all comes together.
Something I taught him early on.
Everything she's taught me. So how does the making of a horse change for a polo horse or a polo pony versus a horse that was going to go into fencing? At what time would you kind of start changing that? So you say around 3 or 4 years old.
3 or 4 years old, you'll be breaking them in, and
in a different way than you would a horse who's going for distance.
Probably not, really. No. Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
We go straight into like the neck reining as such.
But you'd still do the slow, I would imagine, lunging and getting them used to a saddle and a bridle.
I don't know if I've seen an Argentine lunger horse, to be fair. They use the round pens a lot, to be fair.
Oh, so they lose school them in the round pen.
Exactly that, yeah. Yeah, back in the day, there were some other forms of breaking them in which weren't so great. We won't go into that.
Yeah, but I think that's where times
have changed.
You're not going, but we actually discussed it with my husband because, many years ago, and I think that is a positive thing within the horse world in all areas of it, that times have changed. People have over years found better ways to do things.
Yeah.
And when we talk about breaking horse, even that we were saying is the wrong term to use.
Yeah.
Because breaking horse sounds like you're actually sort of breaking it in half to get it riding. But actually, times have changed, and it is it's much kinder, the system now used to getting horses used to having saddles on and having riders on.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So no, it's a long, slow process, and some of them make, you can see like the freaks at a young age. You can see the ones which are going to make it.
Yeah.
They've got to have attitude. They've got to have everything. And in general, we only ride mares, so it's very rare that
that's
we.
interesting.
Of course, there's a few geldings which play as well. Even stallions sometimes play.
God, you wouldn't want to be a stallion and the mallet in the wrong place, would you?
I have had that issue when I'm playing. Is that based because we said there's not too much differential on size between a mare and a gelding?
No.
Or is that why is a mare a better polo pony?
Cleverer, like
Smarter.
women, like women.
I completely agree.
smarter.
Yeah, just women. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a good question, but in general, they're easier to make. They're just, I don't know, more athletics. I feel like the geldings in general sometimes have a bit of they can be a little bit lazy. The mares are a little bit more consistent.
We're talking about horses still? Yeah. No, I completely
Sure,
agree.
similar though.
Similar, yeah.
So at what stage would you want to get hold of them? I mean,
I would ideally probably 6 years old.
so
It
they've
means-
done their slower.
Exactly that. You got the naughtiness out of them.
Yeah.
You don't have to ride the bugs. 6 years old, they should be playing chuckers, and they're ready to be pushed, like to see how far they're gonna reach. So yeah, then you can finish them off exactly how you like. You can put your sort of final touches in and look at that.
So how did it work? So you've just signed with Divide Polo Team. Would you have the same sponsors in terms of the horses that you'd bring them into the organisation and then you'd be based in a certain place with the Dubai Polo Team?
Exactly that. You just nailed it on the head. So over here in England, I've got 8 of my own horses.
Yeah.
They've said to me, bring your best 6. So I've actually left 2 with a friend of mine who I trust.
In Argentina?
Here in England. So
Oh,
I've got my we call it a string. It's like your base your string here and my string in Argentina. I actually did just fly one from Argentina recently. She arrived about a month ago.
Business class?
They're all flown business.
They're all flown business.
Literally.
Yes.
No, and then so she's just settling in now, and I bring her back into work slowly. But it's quite like they'll come off the plane a few days in the field and
And the Dubai Polo Team will then kind of facilitate. How does it work with the owners?
Dubai Polo Team have about probably over 100 horses
Oh, wow.
in their organisation, and they will dish them out. But so each player sort of has their set 8, 9 maybe, and then the rest of the teams get sort of dished out. They ideally want you to playing the high go in England. We play 6 checkers, so that's like the checker is 7.5 minutes long. Usually in the lower goal polo it's 4 checkers, so it's just like quarters. We'll definitely play 2 horses per checker. So
2 horses per chucker.
yeah. So we share the workload. It's a bit like basketball, like
on and off quick.
use it for 2.5, 3 minutes. Boom, go change. You run off. We jump from one horse to the other, so we don't even get off the horse. We put them parallel together. And we hop from one saddle to the other and
Within a chucker?
straight back into the field.
Sorry.
That in itself is
I thought a
bloody
chucker,
impressive.
a horse played 7 minutes.
It can do, but it's going to be tired.
Well, I was thinking how fit they have to be, because I know galloping round
Oh my God,
across
it's long.
country,
That's really
badminton's
long.
11.5 minutes. And
Ours are super spoiled. we get the best out of them 3.5 minutes, and usually they'll come back later on in the game to play another 3.5 minutes.
right.
So I'd say on average one horse would play 2 half checkers, but spread out during the game, so they get time to recover.
Yeah.
Who makes the call on that? Is that as the
player.
rider you go,
So
right?
it's really, really, really important to know your horse well in those respects. Some horses can keep going and play for 4 or 5 minutes if need be. Some you'll literally get your best 2.5 minutes, and you need to go change them because they just get a bit out
So the rest of the team do without you for 30, 40, 50 seconds
It's
while
a
you
very
swap
good
horse.
Yeah, so basically every time you score a goal, that you've got 25 seconds to get back to the middle of the field to have a throw-in, which is the neutral play of how we restart
And then
the
it
game.
swaps ends, doesn't it? Every time there's a
Exactly
goal
that.
scored.
So yeah, we'll usually I'd have a horse on each end of the field with someone holding it. So I got a horse at both ends. I got an option. So if we score a goal at one end in attack, I can literally hop off behind the goal, get back on and make my way back to the throw-in. And if we're in defence, again, same thing, have one the other end. But you got to be super sharp, super on it, and choose the right time of the game that you can go and change them. Of course, between each checker, you get about 3 minutes or so to go back, have a drink, change nice and slowly, and then come back on the field.
But it's a seriously exhilarating
Still
sport.
sounds
non-stop,
3 minutes isn't very long for me to get off a horse, have a wee.
I'm sure you could jump from the saddle to saddle.
No,
I reckon you
I'd
could.
need a wee. I get so nervous. I'd need lots of wees.
you can do it in 3.5 minutes.
Do you have a little portaloo?
Yeah, cars, car
Cars.
doors.
Car
Yeah,
doors?
literally.
Oh dear.
Yeah, literally. No.
Let's-
Some places
I
are
think
more
my
prepared.
bottom's
Yeah.
too big to go behind a car door.
That's
Sorry.
the beauty of being a man. I hate to say it. It's anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, you guys are prepared.
We are prepared. Let's go back to your personal success because you've had some serious career highlights. You've won the US Open,
Yes.
the Argentine Open,
Yeah.
and the British Open.
Yeah.
That sounds.
That's quite a lot of
That
Opens.
sounds pretty.
Those are like the big three as well, by the way. They're like the
Yeah.
exciting ones. What was the proudest career moment for you? Obviously, I've just named a few of your.
Yeah, one massive highlight for me during my mixed polo career was I met the Queen. She was at in 2019 we won a tournament. It's called the Royal Windsor. I was actually playing for the UAE polo team, and the Queen presented our
Amazing.
trophy. So that was pretty.
When was that? Sorry.
2019.
Fantastic.
So that was
What an amazing opportunity.
Yeah,
So
and
that would be the.
that was definitely
That's a
the
really
highlight.
cool one. Queen.
Yeah, that's
presenting
awesome.
you.
She was the most remarkable. I mean, I was
Yeah,
very
Dutch with her.
lucky to. I know.
She was so
I know,
little.
She was amazing, and just incredible for the horse world, but also she was so enthusiastic, wasn't she?
Exactly that. No, she loved it.
Well, and obviously her sons and grandsons and most
Yeah.
of her family
played a
are
bit of
big
polo
into
as well?
polo.
Yeah, exactly that. I've played with and against Prince William a few times, and he's the nicest, most down to earth human being ever.
What's he like in the saddle? Good.
Awesome.
Really?
And he doesn't play much. He doesn't play consistently, and he literally just rocks up. He plays back, so he's like more of a defensive player. And he hits the ball really beautifully, and it's quite impressive to be honest.
Because the timing of hitting the ball is actually really difficult, and I struggled in my brief dalliance with the sport.
I know, I did
Brief
too.
being the operative word. It's really hard because, I play a bit of golf, played hockey. I'm quite good with, hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
But then you have to factor in a horse galloping at top speeds, average speeds in my case. And trying to hit trotting. My coach was like, get out of a trot. I'm like, I don't want to get out of a trot. It's so impossible to hit the ball. This thing's hurtling along the ground. The ball's bouncing around. It's not like an ice ring. It's not a firm, flat, even ground. So this thing's kicking about. You've now got to hit the. It's hard.
It
It's
is
a
hard.
really
And
hard.
not only that, you've got someone riding you off on this
Yeah, that
side.
as
So you're
well.
gonna hold them there and.
Yeah.
So
all sorts.
with the ride off, when you say, what they have to ride you off from the left side?
They can ride you from either side, but it
side.
has to be parallel, and you have to be at the same speed. Otherwise, it can. And it's basically the main rule of polo is like it's a bit like being on a highway. The line of the ball is like you have to follow it. You can't just cross it as such. And you always
So if I hit the ball,
yeah
you know where the ball's going. No one's allowed to
just cross directly across.
Otherwise, the ponies will get
You've got to
smacked
enter
in
on
the
the
leg
same
by the.
line.
yeah, and you can.
Oh
keep
yeah,
going.
yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah, there
So
could be a proper.
it's really
collide.
important that.
Collision.
You gotta win those ride offs. It's all about angles and speed and timing it correctly.
And a lot of confidence and a lot of because that is really I came out the saddle and broke 2 ribs being ridden off by a very good friend of mine, and it was right in front of my ex-girlfriend as well, which is really irritating, and also on TV, which is even more embarrassing. But it's like it's terrifying.
Yeah,
right? You got.
Well, I would
It's
be
just-
more terrified about hitting. That's when I did play. I was so scared of either smacking the horse in the face with the mallet or whacking his legs.
Yeah, but we have so much protection over them.
Love your horse but not the high costs? Say hello to the Harry Hall One Club. You'll get public liability and personal accident insurance included in your membership from just £57.24 per year, making horse ownership more affordable.
And did you know they even offer horse box and travel insurance? How handy is that?
Friendly, fuss-free and full of shopping perks, join the club that's got your back in and out of the saddle.
Harry Hall One Club, making horse ownership more affordable. How many youngsters are coming into the sport of polo? Is there a shortage of top polo players? Is it growing in size or
In general,
shrinking
like the
in
sport
size?
is I think it's growing, and there's a lot of, especially in the female department, there's a lot of younger girls who are playing. However, like obviously here in England, it's just not so accessible as it is in Argentina. So Argentina are producing some incredible players at a seriously young age. I don't know if you guys have seen now the e-wheels or the one wheels.
Yes, I've used them. Oh, they're so fun.
Literally. So
Hard though.
yeah. Well,
Have you seen? Do you know what I mean?
No,
How would you describe it?
clue what you're
it's
talking
like
about.
It's like a little.
Have you seen the cartoon animation Wall-E? The little machine that kind of goes around. It's basically one wheel, and you depending on if.
Oh,
You
I
just
do
pick
know.
your-
Yes, I do
Yeah.
know. Sorry, I
Separate
have
weight.
seen them. Yes.
Literally, all the kids now grow up on those. You
And
have
they're
like
brilliant.
your short little stick, your hand stick, and they literally stick on balls. So they practice with,
good.
and flat out like stop, turn, with these little
Yeah.
machines. So by the time they get on a horse, they're absolute freaks, and they've got the most incredible hand-eye coordination. But yeah, basically in England, it's expensive to have horses here. Let's be honest. Luckily, there are these big organisations which can help out, and there are availabilities to help pilot or to help groom or to some way to get involved, which is brilliant, and those are the opportunities you need to be looking for. However, if you go abroad to Argentina, there are hundreds of these organisations, so it's a lot more accessible over there.
So how would you access it over here? Is there a club or clubs that help you?
So the Hurling and Polo Association, the HPA, they are now helping with a younger performance pathway scheme, which will help the younger generation and give them opportunities to improve in the sport. And they are also funding a grooming scheme as well to help groom the horses, and because there's plenty of grooming jobs in general. We're always looking for people to help.
Let's face it, the grooms are the unsung heroes of any equestrian discipline.
Literally, they're doing it.
But when you see them with polo, they're often riding one and they're leading
to each side. At
to
least.
exactly.
We
So they're
exercised
5.
5 of them at the time. The horses, they're so well behaved as such. So literally, yeah, we call it, they go on set. So it's basically to do their cardio work. The horses in general are exercised at 6 days a week, twice a day. I'm a big fan of putting the horses out in the paddock so they get to live like horses and, have grass, get their head down, have a roll.
Yeah.
However, in general, some of the big organisations they keep them in the stables for quite a long time, and so they hold up all their energy, and there's no risk of getting injured. But so yeah, in general, the horses will go out probably for an hour of exercise in the morning, which will consist of 20 minutes walk, 20 minutes trot, 20 minutes walk, and then usually in the afternoon it would either, on an off day, it would be the same. Otherwise, we would single them, which is where we ride one by one. I've actually got to go back tonight. I've got about 9 to ride after this. Wow. And we have the Argentine grooms who are phenomenal. They'll tack them up. You hop on, give them 10, 12 minutes of working, schooling. Before game days, we give them air. So we try and put them into a fast canter, almost a gallop, to open their lungs and get them nice and agile and fit, so ready for the next day. When they enter the field, they're feeling their best. But it's very, very specific when it comes down to the feeding and the training, and some horses need more work, some less.
It's like nutrition and athletes, and just human
exactly
athletes.
the
It's
same.
crazy. So I'm interested. Obviously, polo as a sport has such a rich heritage. The Hurling and Polo Association is turning 150 very soon, I believe. A female CEO, Anna Hall. What does the future of polo look like for you? How do you feel like the sport is growing?
No, I think it's heading in a great direction. And in the modern world now, in general, there's many more female sponsors coming through, female patrons, because in general, there's many more women who are CEOs of companies, and it's not cheap to run a big organization. But I think within all the breeding and the cloning and the all these futuristic parts of the sport, and it's only going to get quicker and faster and more competitive as it goes on. But yeah, in general, this year in England, the highest level we're playing is 22, and the first tournament there's 19 teams in it, which is quite a lot, to be fair. But yeah.
And where's that?
So
That tournament?
The 2 main tournaments are the Queen's Cup, which is held at Guards Polo Club in Windsor.
Yeah.
Beautiful spot.
A beautiful place, exactly that. And the second is the Gold Cup, which is held at Cowdray,
Also.
Cowdray Polo Club at Midhurst. Yeah, they're
Right next to
2
my grandma's
incredible
house.
places. Those are the the hearts of polo in England, and it's a great day out, and then there's always some great parties afterwards.
I have to say, being a spectator at a polo tournament is a great day out. Do you ever get to enjoy that side of it?
I'd love to a bit more. There's not many off days.
No, it
And
doesn't
we're
seem like
super
there are in the
strict,
equestrian
like,
world.
Before back in the day, it was so much more relaxed, and you can drink alcohol, and now it's like, boom. Now it's
A bit like
you need
us
to-
eventing.
You don't sneak a little tot out the hip flask on the way.
Well, I do. But
We'll probably perform better.
But it has. It's all got it's much more professional.
And more competitive. You know, if you're not at the top of your game, there's always going to be someone else who's just behind you.
As you said, everything seems to be getting faster, fitter, stronger, bigger.
Exactly that.
Sport is a very exciting place to be right now, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly that. And, you know, when we play in Argentina, it's getting covered by ESPN. They show it live. This is the women's polo as well. In America as well, it's the same thing.
The hurling and polo association, forgive my ignorance, is that to do with the hurling and polo in the park? Or is that just, where is hurling?
I guess...
London.
Well, I know that because I live in Parsons Green, so I was thinking, is it that?
More than I do.
Yeah. Is it
no,
that?
I mean, I think that was the original club, I guess.
Yeah. The hurling club.
Yeah, exactly that. But now they only hold the polo in the park there, which is a super fun day out.
Great. I've been trying to convince Pippa to come this year.
Well, I'm not sure. With all those friends of yours from Made in Chelsea, I'm going to quite fit in.
I think you've already insulted half of them on the podcast. Might as well meet them.
I haven't. I didn't insult them at all.
I
just told them to get to life.
I love it.
Just some facts.
No, I didn't.
But there's a potential you may be playing in the...
So...
Because you've got another tournament.
Well, yeah. So because I'm on this contract this year with Dubai Polo Team, which is, for me, it's actually really exciting. This year in England, in the highest level, it's the Queen's Cup and the Gold Cup. Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to be the only female professional playing as such. So there's a few female sponsors who are funding the teams, but as a professional, I'm the only girl who's going to be getting paid to play alongside the men. So this is my second year in a row, which for me is like life goals, literally.
Well, in honour of you, Hazel, being on the show, we have a very special little giveaway prize opportunity here, and I will be at this event actually. Mm-hmm. So we have Chesterton's Polo in the Park, which is on the 6th, 7th, and 8th of June. Pippa, you're coming down with me as my +1.
Ooh.
And you can get £5 off tickets with the code TalkHorse5.
Brilliant.
There you go.
It's a
so
great
that
day
can
out.
go towards a really fancy outfit. It's one of those,
Exactly
Is
that.
that
one of those like suits and...
Is that our first date?
That will be our first date.
Oh, right.
This is me officially asking you out on Talk Horse. Run it by William, I run it past Jules. So I believe that the Polo in the Park, Chesterton's Polo in the Park, is slightly different.
Yes.
What is the difference between the high goal polo rules and the adapted rules for this Polo in the Park?
So Polo in the Park is held on a much smaller field. So they've even made it 3 against 3. So the game is a little bit, and they use a bigger ball. So, it sort of ends up in the crowd quite a few times.
Yeah, it does.
If you actually come out and watch, a proper game of polo as such, the field is huge. I think it's 4 times the size of a football field. And it's super fast, super open. The ball's almost like a hockey ball. They're really hard. So it's just a lot. I would love for you guys to come and watch sometime, to come and watch the...
If that's an invite,
We will
I'm very
do,
glad
yeah,
you're accepting it.
I'd love to.
It's really...
Can you get us, sir?
Of course.
100%. We need it, yeah.
Guys up, 100%.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
That's brilliant.
What's your best polo story? What's one which sticks out to you?
Well, it's going to go back in the day a little bit when we were younger, and I actually went over I think I was captaining the English team actually over in Zambia. We were playing against these Zambian girls who were wild and they were tough. Anyway, went over there. There's a whole group of us, and I had a friend of mine called Lottie Lammercraft. Lottie unfortunately had a fall in the game and ended up breaking her toe, so she got rushed off to hospital. And anyway, so we finished the game, all good. My sister was luckily there, so she actually filled in for her. We got back, Lottie arrives on crutches, and they'd given her ketamine in
That's meant to be for the horses.
in the hospital there in Zambia, you can imagine. And Lottie's literally...
That's where you get a hookup in Zambia.
Honestly. You can imagine the hospitals over there.
What?
Then
that was an accident, was it? Or they thought
was an
that
accident.
was...
Literally, I think her horse tripped and she came down.
Oh, no, I meant the ketamine, yeah.
No, that was pretty much... I think that was...
Because I'm not a doctor, but aspirin probably do the job.
The worst thing is, Lottie, literally, you'd give her like a can of Coke and she's the most sensitive person to sugar, to anything. So she rocked back up on ketamine. Anyway, so we were flying out the next day, and we rock up to the airport, and they bring out a wheelchair. And my sister had such a big night the night before that we ended up... Lottie didn't get the wheelchair. She was still in crutches. We took my sister, who was in a rather big hangover, back in the wheelchair and made it back to England.
Hazel, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure and a massive insight into this world that we haven't really delved into yet.
I think it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Learned a lot.
And
I'm
I'm
really pleased.
fascinated, and I really actually would like like to take you up on the offer and
I've got to see it
come and watch.
firsthand.
100%. We'll get you over to the Queen's Cup or the Gold's Cup.
That'd be
So
amazing.
you've got to come and watch either of those.
Sounds like you've got a very exciting year ahead of you. I'm looking forward to
I've got to stay super
sharing your
focused.
success. I thought she was absolutely fabulous.
I thought you might. She was a pretty girl. Gosh, she was lovely.
talented
She was
athlete.
gorgeous.
Very beautiful lady, yes. Very talented. A very exciting career ahead of her, and also, has achieved so much already. And also really interesting to learn about an element that maybe neither of us know too much about, which is quite refreshing because you know everything about the equestrian world.
Don't know
So
everything
far.
at all. I don't know everything at all.
I think I'm going to have to give Polo another go, I think she's inspired me.
I think you should give it another go, and I'm not going to give it a go, but I actually might well take her up on her offer to go and watch one
Absolutely.
of the polo tournaments.
Great day out. We should do that. We've got a really exciting summer ahead of us.
If you've loved this talking horse, make sure you join our community by subscribing so you never miss an episode.
Absolutely, and please do leave us a review. It definitely helps us. And thanks again to Harry Hall One Club for being our sponsors today. And do check out their competition and discount code in the podcast description.
As we always say, please do tell us your horse stories. Do let us know any guests that you want to suggest. And it does help. We do read and we do listen and pass on the word. But if you do want to get in touch, you can by emailing info@talk-horse.com.
And please do join us next time because we've got so much more horse talk to share with you.
Bye.